The Goat and the Farmer. Once there was a hard-working farmer named Syam in a village. In his old and ramshackle house, the only other members who lived with him were his wife and 3 children. They had a big and beautiful goat. Whatever might be the situation of the house, they all tried very hard to satiate the needs of the goat very well. So it enjoyed good fodder and free roaming about in the house. Syam's sons were used to take the goat to the nearest meadows and pastures for grazing. But one by one, they took the goat to a meadow or pasture each day. One day, it was the turn of the eldest son to take the goat to the meadow. That day, he went to the foot of a large hill where thriving grass and other plants were profuse. While the goat was grazing, the eldest son sat on a rock and observed around. He felt very proud of in the pretty posture of his goat. Suddenly, an evil spirit came into the goat and merged into its body. It started to speak in human voice. In the evening, with extreme joy, the eldest son returned home with the evil possessed goat. At home, the eldest son told his father about the new skill of the goat. The farmer asked the goat, "My dear, how was your grazing today?" The goat replied in a low, groaning voice, "Today I got nothing. I am starving." The farmer could not tolerate his eldest son's imprudence. He ousted him from home. Next day, the second son took the goat to a new pasture. As far as he could, he fed the goat and returned. When the farmer asked the goat how that day was, it said sadly, "What to say? Your eldest son was better." The angry farmer ousted his second son from the house. The following day, it was the turn of the youngest son. He did not want to be ousted from the house, so with the grazing, he even gave some additional food items to the goat. But sadly to say that he was also ousted from the home, for the goat said that it was the worst day in feeding. The fourth day, the farmer called his wife and said, "Look, this is our dearest goat. Today you must feed her. Don't be careless. Feed her to her satisfaction. Otherwise, you will also be proscribed out of home." That day the farmer's wife took the goat to the meadow and fed it as far as she could. In the evening, she came back. The farmer asked his goat, "My dear, how was your food today?" The goat said, crying in deep grief, "Master, your sons fed me better than that of your wife's feeding. I am starving heavily." The farmer could not put up with it more. The ousted his wife from home. Next day, the farmer himself led the goat to the foot of the hill. He let the goat graze freely. In addition, he plucked some mild tender leaves from trees and gave them to the goat. In the evening, he came back home with the goat. He asked, "My dear, how was this day?" The goat said angrily, but fretfully, "This was the worst day in my life. You don't know how to feed a goat." It groaned and moaned very pathetically. The farmer got that his goat was possessed by some evil spirit. He took a hammer and beat the goat on its head. It fell down on the floor with a broken head. He called his wife and sons back home. Since then, they lived there peacefully